Hi everyone, welcome back to TechCravers. So I've been living with the Nintendo Switch 2 for just over a week now, and I'm finally ready to share my thoughts. I know a lot of people rush to get their reviews out on day one, but that's just not how I roll. I wanted to really use the console day to day in real world before forming an opinion. Too many so-called honest reviews are just glorified unboxings or first impressions dressed up as final takes, and I didn't want this to be one of those. This is the result of an actual time spent with the device, and while it's not perfect, I have a lot of good things to say and some frustrations to share as well. So without any further delay, here is TechCravers' 1 week review of the Nintendo Switch 2. Physically, the console feels fantastic. It's familiar, sure, but everything has been refined. It's better built, more premium, and it fits beautifully in my hands. The larger display alone makes the original model feel dated the second you pick this one up. But once you power it on, well, you're hit with a bit of a letdown. The UI is, for the most part, exactly the same. Yes, it's snappy, and yes, it's clean, and yes, there has been some subtle touch-ups, but this was a real missed opportunity. Nintendo could have made some bold statement here, a fresh modern interface that signals a true generation leap. Instead, we're stuck with the same old menus from 2017. It still works, but it doesn't excite. It feels more like a Switch Pro than a true Switch 2, and that's a shame, because so many other things with this console screams evolution. Take the screen for example. My god, what a display. For an LCD panel, it's absolute perfection in my eyes. The colors are rich, the blacks are deep for LCD, and everything looks razor sharp. It's genuinely one of the best screens I've seen in any handheld. It needs to be seen with your own eyes though, and not through a YouTube video. That said, the auto brightness feature is strange. When you turn it off, the screen actually gets brighter. Color pop more and the whole panel just feels more alive. I assume it's a power saving decision, but I absolutely recommend disabling it if you mostly play indoors. It makes an already great display truly shine. Outdoors there's still some glare, but indoors, especially with auto brightness off, this screen is a joy to use. The improvements don't stop at the screen though. There are little touches everywhere that make the Switch 2 feel more mature. The magnetic Joy-Con connection is a fantastic upgrade. It's solid, satisfying, and completely eliminates the old wobbly rail problem. They snap into place with a clean click and it just feels right. But beyond the improved build, they also gained new functionality. You can now use them like motion-enabled mice. It's still early days, but it opens the door for some really interesting control possibilities. You can already use one Joy-Con to aim in Fortnite, almost like a pointer or gyro-based mouse, and it works surprisingly well. Whether this becomes a game changer or ends up being more of a gimmick will depend on how developers use it. And titles like Metroid Prime 4 might be where we find out. For now, it's a promising addition with a lot of potential. When it comes to actual gameplay, the Switch 2 delivers, not just through upgraded specs, but through real improvements to the games themselves. Titles like Super Mario Odyssey, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild all have received meaningful updates, and these aren't just lazy ports. They've been optimized to take advantage of the new hardware with smoother performance, crisper visuals, and in some cases faster load times. Playing them again on this device genuinely feels different, more refined, more fluid, and in a way more alive. Nintendo isn't trying to reinvent its franchises, it's refining them. But we can't talk about Nintendo Switch 2 without the real exclusive, Mario Kart World. This is the game that many people will look as the first true next-gen Nintendo experience, and I totally get why. It's fast, fluid, and absolutely gorgeous, and jam-packed with details. The tracks feels bigger and more dynamic, the visual clarity is on a whole new level, and the controls are tighter than ever. For many fans, Mario Kart World alone is going to be a console seller. It's that good. And speaking of legacy love, we also got a surprise addition to the Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack service, GameCube support. This is something fans have been dreaming about for years, and it's finally here. The launch lineup is small but powerful. Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero GX, and The Wind Waker are already available. And the best part, these games run natively on Switch 2, meaning no messy emulation or janky performance. It's smooth, it's clean, and it feels amazing to revisit these classics in such a polished form. More titles are on the way, and you can almost guaranteed we'll see Luigi's Mansion, Twilight Princess, and other GameCube greats show up down the line. This addition alone adds massive value to the service, and it makes it feel like Nintendo is finally starting to treat its back catalog with the love it deserves. But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Let's start with the big one, battery life. There's been a lot of debate online, and honestly, I understand why. To get a clearer picture, I ran a real-world test comparing the Switch 2, the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite playing the same game under same conditions. And, believe it or not, the Switch Lite actually outlasted the Switch 2 by nearly half an hour. And sure, that's understandable, the Switch 2 has a bigger, brighter screen and more powerful hardware. Naturally, it draws more power, and to be fair, I'm getting around 2 to 2.5 hours of playtime on max brightness, which for me is perfectly fine for the most use cases. But at the same time, it's hard not to feel a little disappointed. This is a portable console, and knowing it won't last for a long flight or full day without a charger nearby takes some shine out of the experience. Then we have the price. In the US, $500 already feels like a stretch, but here in Sweden, it's closer to $780. That's steep for a Nintendo console, and you can feel it in the market. Most major retailers here have plenty of stock left. You can just walk in and buy one. That wasn't the case back in 2017. People are clearly hesitating, and I get why. And finally, Nintendo's online services. It's 2025 and we're still paying extra to access retro titles through expansion pack, and it still feels off. These are decades old games, and locking them behind an additional paywall just doesn't sit right. So do I regret buying the Nintendo Switch 2? Not at all. It's not perfect, the battery life is underwhelming, the price is steep, and Nintendo's online approach is still stuck in the past. But when I'm actually playing the thing, I don't care. It's fun, and it feels like the Switch finally reached its potential. Sharper visuals, better hardware, smarter design. This isn't just a new coat of paint, this is a confident, meaningful upgrade that improves nearly every part of the experience. If you're new to the Nintendo world, this is absolutely where you should start. If you've been around since the launch day in 2017, this still feels like a huge step forward. Not just technically, but in how it all comes together. If you still got your OG Switch and only game occasionally, you might want to wait for a price drop. But when you do upgrade, you do feel the difference immediately. For me, I'm glad I bought it. It makes me want to pick up and play again, and that, at the end of the day, is what matters the most. So to sum it all up, the Switch 2 isn't revolutionary, but it's a thoughtful, meaningful evolution of what made the original console so special. It's better built, better looking, and more powerful. And while it's held back by things like battery life, a dated UI, and high pricing, those issues are outweighed by what it gets right. As I said, it feels like the Switch finally caught up with its own potential. If you've been waiting for Nintendo to deliver a truly premium handheld experience, this is it. And if Mario Kart World, native GameCube support and enhanced classics like Zelda and Mario aren't enough to get you excited, then maybe nothing will. Let me know in the comments, have you picked up the Switch 2 yet, or are you holding off? Are you already deep into your own 100-hour journey like me? As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I catch you in the next one. TechCravers out.